This is lesson 5 on assemblage. In this video, I'm going to go over every part of this lesson. So the performance-based objective, what is assemblage, some vocabulary. We're going to learn about a few artists, and then we're going to make our own work of art. This video goes over the entire thing so that you know exactly what to do. So I'll read to you the performance-based objective. Students will be able to collect traditional art-making materials and found objects in order to arrange an assemblage sculpture. You might be wondering, what are traditional art-making materials and what are found objects? Traditional art-making materials include paints and brushes, paper and pencil, modeling clay. You get it. Assemblage is a form of sculpture made of found objects that are arranged in a way that create a work of art. Found objects are objects that originally had a different purpose, which the artist collected and used in his or her artwork. So there's an example on the slide here. Here's some vocabulary that you might hear in this lesson. We've already talked about assemblage and found object. Composition, a word you've probably heard before. Combining elements of art in a pleasing arrangement. Symbolism, a picture or object that represents something else. Abstract, when an artist simplifies or exaggerates something. Here's the first artist we're going to learn about. Louise Nevelson was a female assemblage sculptor who created monochromatic art from found objects. Monochromatic means one color. So you can see in the examples on this slide, she would paint her objects so that they were all one color. Here's a little video about her artwork.
Louise Nevelson is an American sculptor who lived from 1899 to 1988. For her art-making materials, Louise collected wood scraps from the streets of New York and old wood from furniture stores. She then assembled these materials to make her art. These sculptures are called assemblages. She unified her assemblages using black or white paint, concealing each individual object. Nevelson's large-scale sculptures paved the way for the feminist art movement of the 1970s by breaking the taboo that only men's artwork could be large-scale. Louise won larger recognition by her larger pieces of sculpture, which surrounded and overwhelmed the viewer. Homage to 6 Million is Louise's memorial to the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust. Each box is the same, yet the interiors of the individual boxes are remnants of a separate life, all combining into a powerful wall of remembrance. Still today, Louise Nevelson is considered one of America's most innovative sculptors.
Here's the next artist we're going to learn about, Betty Saar. Betty Saar is an African-American assemblage artist who is alive and working today. Her artwork often explores African-American history. And here's a little video about her. We're not going to watch the whole thing.
Now on display in Los Angeles, the art of Betty Saar, whose mixed media works, like this one, confront some of the most difficult issues in our country's history. Our guide is Serena Altschul. This past fall's annual gala at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art was a star-studded event with dozens of celebrities gathered to honor someone not often found on red carpets.
Betty, right here. She's an icon of the feminist and black arts movement.
I'm just a girl that made art and was happy making it and loved making it.
Betty Saar is being modest, extremely modest. It's written about that this is kind of the Betty Saar moment. Does it feel any different to you?
No,
No?
only a few more aches and pains because I'm older,
Right.
but the creative part of me is forever young.
Saar's primary art form is called assemblage, sculptures made from found items that she pieces together, often addressing spirituality and black oppression.
The shape of the ironing board reminded me of the shape of the diagram of the slave ship. So I had that printed on that.
The works turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Bird cages become prisons, washboards are canvases, and trash is treasure.
My favorite place to look for objects to use in my art is the flea market or the swap meet. I look this way and I look that way, and there's a little box that says, "Come over here and look inside of me."
She keeps her gathered treasures in her Los Angeles studio, where she's lived and worked since 1962. It's organized chaos with everything separated by color and theme. Ships in one area, clocks in another, all just waiting for a second life in one of SAR's creations.
You can watch the rest of the video on your own if you want, but we're going to continue. Here's the last artist I'm going to show you, Joseph Cornell. He was a pioneer of the assemblage sculpture, and he created art from artifacts that others discarded. So he found a lot of work of his objects in the trash. Your assignment is to create your own assemblage. Here are the requirements for your project. Spend 30 to 40 minutes on the artwork. Objects must be found, not purchased. The sculpture can be in a box or it can stand on its own. So here's an example. If you see Betty Saar's work, kind of a lot of it's in a box. Same with Joseph Cornell's. These are all in like boxes. You can make yours in a box or you can have it stand on its own, like this one over here. And last, enter a picture of your artwork and your written response on slide 15. Here are your materials. You'll need some assorted objects that you find around the house. Make sure you're not taking anything that your parents or siblings will want. Anything from the recycling, so cereal boxes, newspapers, magazines, coupons, whatever you can find. Glue stick, scissors, markers or colored pencils, and you have the option of using a tissue box or any box really. Here are the steps. One is collect your found objects, recycled materials, and magazines. Then collect your traditional art supplies. That's step 2. Glue sticks, tape. If you were doing a box, cut off one side to create an open space. You can ask an adult for help. Here's an example. Steps 4 to 6. 4 is to design the background, especially if you're using a box. This is really important. Cut out and glue material or materials from your newspapers or magazines and glue them into your box. You can also color the background with markers or colored pencils. 5, arrange your objects. And 6, admire your work. Here's a how-to video that I put together on how to do this project. As you know, this week we're doing a found object assemblage sculpture. First, collect found objects and recycled materials from around your house. What you see me organizing here are objects I've collected over the years, including a magnet, a beautiful rock, something I found on a walk with my dog, a postcard. And now I'm getting out some things from my recycling. A Nutri-Grain bar box, a paper bag, some magazines. And then you're going to get out your traditional art making supplies, like glue sticks. You see I have some collage materials, tape. Tape is really important, and you'll hear me talk about it later. If you decide that your assemblage sculpture will look best in a frame or a box, find a tissue box or any kind of box really that's soft cardboard and cut out one side of it so you can build your sculpture within it. Yep, so there's my frame. That's where everything will get arranged. So now I'm going to start playing with my materials that I've collected. You can test things out, take things out, put things back in. Look at what you've got around you. I'm going to go through this magazine and cut out images that I think could work. This sculpture looks really cool. Since the items I collected have a kind of ocean vibe, I'm looking for blues. So I see a lot of cool images here, but I'm looking for hues of blue, some textured images. Oh, this one might be good as sand, so I'll cut it out. Alright, so now I have all my little bits of blue, and I'm going to arrange my background. I'm going to try and cover as much of the cardboard as I can. Notice that I'm not gluing anything down yet. I'm arranging and then rearranging and testing things out. If you aren't using a box as a frame, still think about what's in the background behind your assemblage. Okay, now that I have a good idea of what I want, I'll go back, put some glue down, and then put everything down permanently. You can still change your mind and play and change things up as you're gluing them down. I get really detailed with the background on my assemblage sculpture. You don't need to, but it's a lot of fun. And here's how I create the sand for my assemblage. Here's the next really important step. Start arranging your objects. Just like you kept rearranging the paper for your background, keep rearranging your found objects. Find the best arrangement. Here you see my first attempt. It's not quite right. There are so many objects on the ground. I thought I was done, but then I noticed there's this brown cardboard on both sides of this pretty ocean view. So I decided to color in the sides and the top, just with colored pencil very lightly. I also decided to use tape. So remember how I said tape is really versatile? I decided to use it here to cover the outer sides of this assemblage to make it look much cleaner and less busy. And I covered some of that ugly nutrition information. Doesn't that look so much better? So professional? It's not mandatory, but it's a great idea if you want to keep this object. Alright, so I'm back to arranging my items. I'm going to try a couple different arrangements here. And there it is. There's my final work of art. Now it's your turn. So follow steps 1 through 6 on slides 11 and 12 to create your own assemblage. Enter a picture of your assemblage on the right of slide 15 and then create a title for your work. Type it in right here. Blah, 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 blah. And then describe the ideas or narrative in your sculpture and how you were influenced by either Louise Nevelson, Betty Saar, or Joseph Cornell. Describe what it was like to create your artwork. Answer in 3 or more full sentences. So type your response right here. My assemblage is blank, blank, blank. Here's my example for you. I titled my work A Day on the Ocean. Here's my little written response about my work. I collected found objects that remind me of nature and of the ocean. These include a shell, long beads made of bleached driftwood, a smooth stone found in Coney Island, and a funky silver and blue charm I found on the sidewalk. I love how Betty Saar and Joseph Cornell would arrange found objects in scenes within boxes. This inspired how I went about arranging my assemblage. I knew that I wanted to show the ocean, so I began the project by creating a blue background out of magazine clippings. I then arranged the items until I felt they looked right in the box. Your last step is to answer these participation questions. And then go over this checklist. Did you put your best effort forward? Is your work high quality? Did you plan out your work well? Does your work look complete? And are you proud of it? And this is just a reminder on how to photograph your artwork. So this is showing a 2D artwork, but it's basically the same concept for 3D artworks too, is that you want to make sure you get all 4 corners of the work in the frame. It's got to be well lit, and I don't really want to see what's around your work of art. Let's showcase your artwork and make it look as good as it is in real life.